So to give everyone context of why I look like this, why I'm so beautiful, and why I have no legs, one arm, I was diagnosed with Hanhart syndrome. When I was in the womb, they classified me with Hanhart syndrome, which either leaves the babies with undeveloped limbs or undeveloped organs. And so I'm 26 years old. In 1996, I was the 12th baby in medical history that they've ever seen it happen to. And out of the 12, 8 of those babies have passed away due to undeveloped organs, right? So the babies are born and they can't breathe on their own, they can't eat on their own, and they later on pass away. And so they gave my parents this ultimatum. They said, hey, like, he's got about a 30% chance to live from like the statistics. And I'll talk about this on stage as well. My parents made a decision in that moment to focus on the 30% chance of me living versus the 70% chance of me dying, right? Because we're going to go into a whole focus workshop on stage. But to dictate your focus is really important, because what you focus on, you feel, and what you feel is your life, right? So they decided to focus on the 30%. And so I was born beautiful and just missing some limbs. And so all my organs were 100% healthy, and the only thing that was affected were my limbs. So you have this unicorn body of no legs, one arm, and one finger. And that was the start. And I always say I am the baby of 4. And so my parents got the split test with the other children to see how to become a parent. Because by the way, we're just trying to figure life out. No one really knows what the hell's going on. Yeah. And there was a few things that early on they cultivated me into. The first thing was they would put my clothes and my food in front of me and they'd be like, all right, figure it out. Right? Like I was not at a baby, but when I was getting to a point, they would just only give me verbal suggestions. And I don't know if they knew that at the time, and I didn't know it at the time, but they cultivated 2 things in me. The first thing that they cultivated in me was I became solution-oriented. I was forced. Right? Now, if you look into the regular world, most humans are focused on the problem. They're not focused on the solution. And focus is the gasoline to your problems. So as a human, you can have a teeny weeny problem, but focus all your energy on it and it becomes massive and overwhelming. That's because you're only focused on the problem. What you focus on expands. And so I was forced to become solution-oriented at a very early age, which, by the way, you can translate that into entrepreneurship and business because you get paid directly to the problems that you solve. You want to make more money, solve a bigger problem. Yeah. So that was the first thing. The second thing was I had a buddy, and that buddy was failure, right? And Shaq talked about it earlier. You have some amazing speakers here, and I developed an empowering relationship with failure, meaning I knew it was part of the journey, and the faster that I failed, the faster they get feedback. The faster I get feedback, the faster that I can succeed. But if the audience reflects right now, it's like, where would you be, or what would you be doing, or how would you be serving if you weren't afraid of failure, right? And so the audience, if they're up for it, you need to reevaluate or evaluate your relationship with failure. And I have a little funny quote, and it's, if failure is a friend, you'll learn to the end. If failure is a foe, you'll never grow. And so I just developed a great relationship with failure because I sucked at everything. Good putting on my shirt, feeding myself, getting on a chair. But clearly I figured out how to put clothes on here today because I got some on today.
You just blew me away in a paragraph. No one has ever done that. Everything that you put together was so wonderfully crafted from experience. I can just tell.
Oh, thank you.
Great intelligence. I
thank you.
Love it. It's got me cussing on here. Listen,
let's go.
There's just so many thoughts that just went through my head about everything that you just said. But I want to come back a little bit. I love this focus thing because it was incredible. You know, it brought me back. What made me think about when I was a kid, we grew up very poor, and I grew up on a farm. My father, farm family, you have kids to work.
Yep.
And so I got put to work at a very early age in Illinois. It was cold we're near Lake Michigan. And I remember being in so much like agony being out there working. And my father was like, you're fine. And would make me kind of push through it, not in an abusive way. Yeah. Like you're okay. You know what I mean? It felt like the end of the world at the time. And
nowadays they would say it's abusive.
Yeah, they would for sure. But he kept making me work through problems. If I'd be on the farm working on something, I'd try to, he'd be like, no, figure it out. Now he'd come then the third time. My father was a very incomplete man. He made a lot of mistakes because we're all just figuring it out. But he gave me the one tool. And I always thought it was the hard work. But the way that you just described it was so much more. He showed me how to be solutions oriented. He showed me how to work hard. All the things that when you grow up on a farm that you don't verbalize, like you just verbalize something that he just instinctively did and didn't have the words to describe it. That helped me understand my father a little bit more. That's really interesting because that's what did it for me. Now I'm always thinking, what's the solution? Not about the problem.
100%. And just a note too is oftentimes we don't understand why they did what they did, or why didn't they love me this way, or why did they leave, or why did they divorce, or why did they do that? And what we need to understand is that your father did the best they could with his conditioning and what he knew. Like there's 2 things as kids that we believe. The first thing is we believe everything's our fault. Why did mom and daddy split up? What did I do wrong? Why don't we have food on the table? What did I do wrong? Kids always think it's their fault. And the second thing that kids always believe is that adults have their shit together.
That's it.
And that's bullshit, because none of us know what we're doing. We're just figuring it out, right? And so understanding that most of people's progress is going to come from unlearning what they've been taught.
Yeah. So a lot of people that watch our podcast or YouTube are people that are usually entrepreneurs. They're also people that are into health and fitness. And it's something that is a lifestyle, right? And, you know, they always usually overcome something. So like they lost weight. They overcome a condition. They get successful. So there's this hump where they do that and then they get over it. And then what? Because I think what happens for a lot of individuals is that they've got to fight and then they don't know what to do after. And so no one knows how to hang on to anything or be consistent or keep moving. And I think all people are dealing with problems consistently, right? And what I wanted to talk about, because I know a lot of people, they live with challenge, but they're still trying to be their best. And so you get to this place, right, where when does it turn on? When does the Nick that we know today happen? And then how do you maintain it?
That's a great question. And so I'll bring it to the pain, right? Because the whole theme here, I'll bring it to the pain. When I got into middle school and high school, it was the lowest, darkest, shittiest days of my life. And the reason being is because my biggest pain was actually girls. And so when you get into middle school and high school, everybody's got their boyfriends and everybody's got their girlfriends. And so I'm like, I'm not getting the love that I think I deserve from these ladies, right? And what we need to understand is oftentimes if we're not aware, based off specific experiences, we then believe things about ourselves, even if they're not true. So there was an instance where I was on a school bus and there was a girl to the left of me and she was making fun of everyone on the bus. And I'm like, oh man, she's gonna have a field day with me. She's gonna eat me up. And she looked me in my eyes, I'm 14 years old, and she said, I don't even have to start with you. Look at your body, you're already too messed up anyway. And because of that experience, I started to believe, oh, I am disgusting. And girls don't like me because I have no legs, one arm, and I'll never have a wife, and I'll never have a job, and I'll never go to my junior prom and my senior prom. And what we need to understand is the brain is the greatest detective in the world. And what I mean by that is based off of your beliefs, your brain will find the evidence to prove yourself right because you love to be right, right? And so because of that experience, I developed these beliefs about girls and my body. And a few things here that I want to unpack. The first thing is we're talking about pain. Humans will change for two reasons. We'll change for pain or we'll change for pleasure. But humans will always run away from pain faster than we'll run towards pleasure. That's why y'all don't start going to the gym until the doctor says you're fat.
That's right.
That's why you don't leave the relationship until someone smacks you get emotionally abused. That's why you don't start coaching or come into the university until you hit your rock bottom in the school system, whatever it is, right? And so oftentimes your pain, what we talked about, is your leverage, and humans need leverage to change. They have no idea what's coming in that audience is I'm gonna get them a whole bunch of leverage so they change in the moment. They're not ready for it, right? But pain is leverage. And so I got to the point where I said, all right, Nick, you can take your life. Because right, I was having suicidal thoughts. I'm crying in the shower. Nick, why is your eyes red? I got soap in my eyes. Like I was very good at hiding the dark shit, the dark times, because I don't want to be a burden on my family. Right? I don't want to bring my negativity to them. And exactly, fake smiles, you know, like the fake mask. And I came to the decision. I said, you either take your life or you figure out how to take control of yourself and your body and your mind and really get after this. And what I was really looking for was actually just confidence. I was looking for confidence and self-worth. And I always say, you'll never make more than you think you're worth. So all of these people out there, if they believe that they're capped at 10K, they're capped at 10K. If you believe you're 50K a year, you're 50K a year. You'll never make more than you think you're worth and your self-worth. You'll get in the relationship with the hot girl and then you'll break up or self-sabotage it because you don't think you're worth it. Or you'll lose the weight and then you'll find more of it. Or you'll make the money and then blow it, right? So this shows up in all different areas of our life. And so my older brother, who passed away from a drug addiction, I always wanted to be like him in the sense of he was a savage wrestler. And me being solution-oriented, I came home one day and I said, Mom and Dad, I want to become a wrestler. And they said, oh no, Nick, what about your arm? And this arm was about 5 inches longer than it is now. My bone was growing faster than my skin. So it was super sensitive. And the bottom line is, if I would have hit my arm hard enough, my bone would have came through my skin. And so I was like, well, can we cut my arm off? And they're like, what do you mean cut your arm off? They're like, the right word's amputate. I'm like, can we amputate my arm? Can we do something about it? And so my sophomore year of high school, I scheduled the appointment to amputate my arm and I became a wrestler. And I was a JV wrestler, and then I was a varsity wrestler, and then I gained confidence. But to unpack that there is I was looking for confidence. And how you build confidence is you start doing the shit that you say you're going to do. What we don't realize is oftentimes humans walk around Earth and they say, I'm going to go to the gym, or I'm going to eat healthy, or I'm going to join the university. And then they don't. And they don't realize that every single time they make a promise and they break it on a subconscious level, you're diminishing the way you view yourself. You can't even believe yourself. What do you think the world's going to believe you? You can't even do the shit you say you're going to do. And so if you want to build self-worth and confidence, start doing the shit that you say you're going to do. Build undeniable proof that you are who you say you are. And so the wrestling moved into, I don't even know if you know this, but the wrestling moved into Vine. Vine was an app where you can post 6-second videos. And I was like, I want to create something that has never been done before. And I want to inspire and make people laugh. And so I was one of the first to dress up as a legless zombie and scare people and get famous for it. And so that's how I got, you're asking like, how did we get this, Nick, right? There's a whole lot of identities here. So I went from wrestler, then I went to prankster, and then pranking wasn't fulfilling. And so I moved from Jersey to Tampa to become a bodybuilder. And people are like, bro, and I'm gonna share this joke on stage. They're like, bro, how you gonna become a bodybuilder? You have no legs. I was like, well, most of you skip leg day anyway. I'll fit right in, right? Y'all skipping leg day, you know who you are. And so I became a bodybuilder. I competed in men's physique. That's why like I saw Chris backstage. It was so
you got
cool.
A chance to meet him?
I was very awkward. He didn't know who I was. So I was like, you're about to go on stage. I ain't gonna mess with you. Yeah. But it was cool to see him, and way bigger legs than I have. And so I became a bodybuilder. And then because of bodybuilding and moving to Tampa, I got in the room. I got in the room with someone who saw the gift in me that I didn't see in myself. It was Ratmere. You met him. And he said, you're going to be on stage with Tony Robbins one day. And I'm like, who's Tony Robbins? I have no idea who. And I had no idea. All I know how to do is pick things up and put them down. Yes. Right? That's all I knew how to do. And I always say your life changes when you get in the room. Right? Whether you got to jump through the door, whether you got to pay a lot to get in there, but get in the room to expose you to a different way of life. Because once you're exposed, you can't be unexposed. And so once I was exposed to entrepreneurship and speaking, I dedicated the next, I've been in this 5-6 years to the craft, and this is my life work.
It's incredible.
I know there was a lot there.
No. That was it. And that was it. You did it great. And I love that. You jump different identities.
100%.
And I think people probably feel that when they're going through things. I jumped through so many things to get here. This is a packaged, nice, vision.
This is what we see, right?
Yeah. And so with people struggling, right? Like for example, what kind of mental exercises? Because you are great, but the mind's there. Mm-hmm. I know the things I do are great, but I wake up and I'm still the 20-year-old boy dealing with a drug addiction who's a failure. I do. I have to beat that back every day. And I try to tell people that because I want them to know that you're still many times going to feel like that same person no matter what you do. That's just part of it, right? What would you say to people that are still struggling with the fact that they have different identities that they've still hung on to, feelings that they felt from before, and not falling back into some of those beliefs and things like that? Because you still have to get up, and I know that there still has to be things that attack you on a day-to-day basis. I have a process. I have to go through an hour in the morning just to clear through all that stuff that isn't real to get to the stuff that is real. Yeah. And for you, can you tell us a little bit about that? I don't know if anyone's ever asked you that question. I wanted to ask that question because I felt like that was a good one.
100%. From a brother to a brother, I'd like to tell you is that 20-year-old that struggles with the addiction is like, you have to love all parts of you. Yeah. Right? Your creator made all parts, and now you're addicted to serving others. Yeah. And so that guy who was addicted to something now just transferred his addiction to something that is way more empowering. So I love that 20-year-old in you because he got you here. Yeah. Right? So everybody that's listening is like, you got to love all parts of you. The other thing, very simple, break it down, is first thing you got to be hyper aware of where your focus is. Right? Are you focusing on what you have or what you don't have? Are you focusing on what you can control or what you can't control? And are you focusing on the past, the present, or the future? And if you start to become aware, you'll identify patterns that make you pissed off. If I was like, hey, I want you to focus on all the shitty things that you did while you're an addict, you'd feel terrible. Your whole body would change. You wouldn't want to move. You'd feel handicapped and crippled just because where your focus is, right? So the first thing is focus. The other thing is change your physiology, right? Physiology is everything, and you're doing it out on stage. And so you won't be depressed or you won't be full of stress and anxiety if you get your six pack. Or if you start moving your body. And take this from a guy with I got no legs, I got one arm, and I was like, well, I can't fix his body, but I can get jacked, right? And that gave me an amazing relationship with myself, but also how you do one thing, I'm a believer, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And so if you fall short in your body, you fall short in business. Yeah. You fall short in relationships. You fall short with your money. How you do one thing is how you do everything. The pattern shows up everywhere. So you have your focus, you have your physiology, and then last, and one of the most powerful things is understanding that your brain is a meaning-making machine. And oftentimes humans are always just attaching disempowering meanings to things. And so the meaning you attach to the experience becomes the experience. For 19 years of my life, this body was a curse until I had a breakthrough and I realized it's the greatest gift on earth, right? But it's all about the meaning you attach to things. So like, what are you giving the meaning of that client telling you no? What are you giving the meaning of that business falling short? What are you giving the meaning of that little girl who made fun of you in the bus? Are you giving an empowering meaning or a disempowering meaning? Because based on the meaning you're going to feel, and based on how you feel, you're going to take action. And so you have to become a master of meaning. You have to become a master of focus, and you have to become a master of being aware of your physiology and how to shift it.
We reached a very unique time. The coaching industry is beginning to boom in health, in fitness. 33% over year virtual coaching. They're talking about growing. And I think this is a very unique time in history because it gives people that have gone through pain a chance to repurpose and change the narrative. Because now, because I get to coach what I've been through, I own. No one can tell me that I can't coach it. I own it. I've been through it. I survived it. I know what I can do with it. And I think you describe and you really lead the way for people knowing that like you can turn that pain into a ministry, right? Tend your flock.
Yeah.
Because you've been uniquely shaped into the key that's perfect to unlock somebody's potential. And now with online coaching, whether you want to get into health, entrepreneurship, success coaching, whatever you want to do, this is the place that people can go. And I want to encourage people, and I think you do too, that this could be the time. And that's what this event is about, the Hybrid Health Summit. It's like you could take that pain now, right? And turn it into prosperity for you, for everyone around you. And you can make a lot of great money changing a lot of lives,
100%.
right? Isn't that it? Isn't
100%.
Incredible.
Can I add to it?
Yes, please.
Right? Is life has already qualified you.
That's right.
You're already qualified.
You don't need
right?
permission.
Yeah, like, and that's the thing is like, everybody has a different taste of communication. People are going to resonate with you more than they resonate with me. People are going to resonate with me more than they resonate with you. It depends on the person and where they're at, and what story and what aligns. And so everybody, like there's people out there that need you, not me, not you. They like need that one person. They need that specific person, and life has already qualified them. And so I also think though, as coaches and as leaders, sometimes when we're so immersed in personal development, we think we don't need it anymore. And so the big message that I have today as well is you can only heal people as much as you've healed, and you can only take people as far as you've gone. And so continue the growing, continue the healing. And what's beautiful about that is people pay for speed. And so if you walk the path, you can now turn around and condense time for other people, and they'll pay you a whole lot of money for it.
You just leveled me up 10%, sir. Nick, it's been an absolute honor and pleasure to have you on here. You guys can check him out, by the way. He's got an amazing mastermind.
Yeah.
I want to let him know about that because what you just said, anybody can have an amazing career. He helps you do that. Can you tell him about that?
Yeah, for sure. I think there's just the three big pillars that I dedicate most of my success to is coaching, because I can only see what I can see. Community, elevating my standards and my proximity, and then consistency. And so inside the inner circle, usually my coaching is like high ticket, $1,000s. I was like, this isn't feasible for everyone. And so I dropped it. I made this very low ticket. They have access to me and my millionaire mentors, and I can give them a free trial, free 7 days. It's mindofavictor.com. You like it, you join. If you don't, you leverage all my information for free. Like I'm giving it for free. I don't want anything. So that's my gift from me to you.
That's amazing. Thanks for doing this podcast. We appreciate you.
You got it, brother.